Is the applicant for Wells Fargo ATM online? There we go.
They're not here?
Yes, we have Kate
Oh,
Chapman.
Okay, great.
Hi, yes, I'm here.
Hi, good morning.
Good
I was
morning.
I was looking at your drawings online. Can you go to page 6 and 7 of the yeah, you have that one and then go to the next one. I notice a discrepancy. Which one is correct? That one has a wider rooftop and a slanted cornice, and go up, go up, go, go to the next. Yeah, that one has is. So which one are you applying for? Which one do you want?
So that one is just the elevation. The other one is a rendering. It does have a canopy. If you go up one page to page 5, the line coming down is the line of the canopy.
Right, but on the rendering, go to the rendering. No.
Yep.
7, number 7. Yeah, there you go. The under the canopy there is the diagonal line. Can you blow that up, please? And the canopy size and the red part on the canopy is larger than numbers. Go back to the previous one. See that those are different things.
Yes,
Which one is the one that you're applying for?
the drawing, page 6. I did not actually do the rendering.
Rendering. Okay, very good.
Yeah.
I was just wondering. Also, we approved all sorts of ATMs, but never one freestanding like this, and that's why I'm paying a little bit of attention, because it's not just this; it creates a precedent, and we're going to see. We're going to see more. I'm sure Chase will come back with a blue one. So, what exactly? What is it made of? Is it metal? Is the metal appliance type, or what?
So it's a prefabbed machine. If you would like, I can always send in finishes, but it's metal. It's prefab. I don't actually know exactly, but it is a metal machine. Yes.
Is like steel, lamellar steel, and the colors are like an enamel paint, like in a car, for instance. Is that what that is? What I'm looking at?
I believe so.
You
I'm
believe
sorry,
so?
Bill Ponting. Is Bill Ponting online? No, that's a no. He is the applicant. They are part of the contracting team, and they would know more about this machine, but I believe they're having technical difficulties.
Okay, and what?
I have a Joseph. I'm sorry,
Yes,
a
Joey.
Cohen.
Can you guys hear me now?
A little louder, please, if you don't mind.
Can you guys hear me now?
Oh, perfect.
Great.
All right. So what I'm gonna try to do is I have I have all the cut sheets for the product. So I could most likely send something to you guys right now so you guys have a little bit more information on the product.
Unfortunately, we are here for a final approval, so we will not be able to accept any materials that weren't already in the box folder.
Gotcha. Yeah. I was just trying to help you guys understand how what that thing looked like and what it was made out of and the dimensions of it. So the CADs that you're looking at that's just the rendering out on the outside. It's that last page is just a cut and paste, so you can see the location of where that ATM is going. But if you look at the picture above it, that's gonna be the one that it looks like.
Okay,
So the last page is a little blown up and modified, right? The one before that is gonna be more consistent to what the product is.
I mean, page 6, the one we're looking at, that's the one that's the real one, the finished product, right? The finished rendering, right?
Correct.
Yes. Okay. And what goes on the top? What is that?
That's it's basically just called a topper. It's just most likely it's like a plastic, right? And it has a frame on the inside. The outside it's gonna be plastic. Top of it's gonna be roofing, right? With a vent that goes to the side so the water drains off of it properly. Did
So-
Kate, did we submit wet stamps with this one?
Yes, yes, we did. There is also an architectural set as well.
Yeah, because
Um,
this is just the rendering. The architectural stamps set should have the wet stamps in there, which have everything about this unit inside there.
Well, but what is I've seen ATMs before. This one is 8 feet plus then 19 inches. It's 9 feet something. Why is it so tall? Does it need to be that big? Or this is just for to draw attention to it, like a sign, like the red.
It's
What is it?
it's to accept the canopy, right? It's just their typical size for this enclosure. The canopy just helps keep people from getting exposed to the weather, and everything else with that unit is just kind of how they design it. It's not, they don't really have much other options for the canopy styles.
No. I'm not sure if is the 8 is the top. I mean, excuse me. The red piece, this is 19 inches wide and is, I think it's 42 inches, 19 inches tall and 42 inches wide. That's a box that goes on top of the ATM, correct?
Correct. That actually sits on top of the canopy for the enclosure, yes.
And why do you need that?
It's just part of the unit. It has all the space you need for the roofing that goes in there. There's lights up above. That top section has all the electronics in there. It's just kind of a soffit for everything inside that enclosure.
Okay. Let's go back to the site plan, which is, I think, is number 2 or 3, here 2. Where is the property line in this drawing? Or go to the next one, please. Yeah, that right there. Where is the
So-
property line?
I had submitted the architectural set. There should be a better, yes, this one. Yes, this should have everything you need for the site plan.
Okay, good. Yeah, let's go to the location. Okay. So it's inside the property line, inside the setbacks, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then with this one as well, if you go to the bottom, you'll see the actual mechanics of that enclosure inside those plans as
You
well.
keep going.
I'm not seeing the structural set. It
Is-
should have
Is
been
it
part of.
separate? Do you guys have another document?
We have the CAD drawings and the architectural set.
Mhm. Yeah, like I said, the reason I'm asking is because this is the first freestanding appliance type ATM that we see. And it's not just this, it will create a precedent. And I imagine in a couple of weeks, Chase or somebody else will come up with another one. And it is kind of big and intrusive, and it draws a lot of attention. So that's why I'm asking about the height and all the red elements and so forth. The architectural elevation is more subdued than the rendering, so it's preferable. I kind of wonder, why do you need the extra height and the extra red on top?
I'm personally not too sure if that could be taken off. If you look at the side elevation, you can see the Wells Fargo branding is on that red piece. And that's typically where they put their signage on it, on the side.
And it's that's the side. So the Wells Fargo, the ATM has already a sign. Do you need another sign? Is that it?
It's I'm not too sure about what options they have as far as the company that manufactures these for them. So I'm not too sure if they have options with that red piece off. We could ask them, but I don't think that they make them with that red piece off of it.
Well, it's it's an unnecessary thing. That you already, obviously, if you drive by, you will see the sign, you'll see the red, the ATM, like every other ATM in Santa Barbara. This seems to be much more of an advertising piece, like a monument sign. So that's why I'm raising these concerns. And like I said, it would become a precedent setting, and I don't think this is what Santa Barbara would like to see. So please come back, see what is a minimal size ATM with the adequate signage, but not excessive signage. So please come back next time and we'll discuss it. Okay? We'll do that.
Okay,
Right.
is it possible that this will pass if we are able to get a different option from Wells Fargo? I believe this is the standalone for weathering it to keep the
Excuse
customers.
me a second. Jonathan, we're in a meeting here. We need you 100%. Okay. Please repeat.
Okay.
What were you saying? Yeah.
I was wondering if this would be likely to pass if we're able to discuss this with Wells Fargo. If they approve a non-canopy option, would that be more likely to pass?
Yes, a smaller. I mean, this is. It looks like twice as big as it needs to be for an ATM machine. That's the point. Please bring back the smaller, the basic unit that you have with adequate signage, but not excessive signage.
Okay.
Okay.
And-
Very
Okay.
good. Thank you.
Yes, of course.
Thank you.
As far as this unit, there's no protection from the elements up above, and that canopy. Are we having an issue with that canopy as well, or just the red signage up above the canopy?
Well, both. Why does it have to be so tall? I mean, this is the tallest ATM machine I ever seen.
Well, there's nothing up above it for protection from the elements if it's raining or if there's issues with that. So it's made to keep the customer out of the elements when they're using the ATM. And the lower that gets, the more likely you are of having issues with stuff being pulled by it or stuff hitting that. So that's why it's so high. Right. So it's just keep the clearance from people having problems with the cantilevered canopy. And if there's somebody pulling supplies or products for one of these buildings close by and it hits that canopy because it's lower, it's going to create issues and potential risks for the companies around it. So they keep it high to keep it out of the way and keep people from having problems with the cantilevered canopy.
Mhm.
So that's the reasoning for it.
We do have a second option. It's their less used standard, but it's a white and silver option.
It's
I can always ask Wells Fargo if they would like to go with that option if the red is the problem here.
Okay, that seems. Yep, that would be a good idea. Why don't you
Okay.
please present that option? Okay.
Of course, of
So,
course.
so we'll see you next time. Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
That concludes the consent calendar.
Gotcha.
All right, we will begin the March 7th Aspire hearing. We'll begin with any public comment not pertaining to the items in today's agenda. Is there anyone online in the audience?
We do have some people online. If anybody would like to make a comment not on today's item, not on today's agenda, please raise your hand in the chat. Seeing none.
Okay, close public comment. Move on to the agenda status report.
We have two items to continue today. Item number 1, 25 BAR-0005, Van Setters accessory structure would like to be dropped altogether from the agenda. And item number 5, 25 BAR-00016, Mujahid addition would like to be continued to the March 21st SBAR agenda, and we will need a motion for that.
Make a motion to continue those two items.
First item dropped, second item continued.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll second
I'll
it.
second.
First by Alex, second by Amy.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Moving on to review of the minutes from February 21st. We can review them, but we'll have to make a motion once Val is here. She wasn't here either, so we won't have a quorum, but let's make any. I was not here on the 21st. Oh, okay, great. Sorry, I miscounted. Yeah, so let's go ahead and review those then.
I have a comment on item 5, comment C. Architectural style is well done. Scandinavian style is in vogue and is appreciated. I would eliminate the vogue part. Architectural style is appreciated. It's just, we may say things and may not want reflected on the minutes.
Madam Chair. Morning. We reviewed the Tateman new residents and approved those. I want to make sure we have the meeting minutes. It was a pretty contentious item. We had a lot of neighborhood opposition to the project, so project gets appealed, and I want to make sure items 7 and 8 are properly documented. So just have all the board members who are present take a very careful look at that. One note is I don't think Joe was taking the notes. We had, I don't know, if Gwen was doing, yeah. I like what she did here. And I think this is something we might want to do in the future. Item A, or on the SBAR comments, the board is focused on design review, mass bulk and scale, and concerns from public comments about the slope stability and fire safety should be addressed through the applicable channels. Given that the applicants obviously read these meeting minutes to figure out how to work with us, but the public does too. And we seem to have no end of difficulty trying to communicate that and having that in the notes. Like we often say that in meetings and it doesn't get carried into the comments. I think it's probably a good idea because it helps people that are digesting this on the opposite side of the project. Sometimes I think what we might want to improve is through the applicable channels. I think we should actually be more specific. I think we can direct them to the project, the planner assigned to the project, or to the building department, or both. I would just recommend that we add that note there because that's good direction for those folks to understand that. We may want to do this too when we get into the telecom projects where we're getting, kind of run around circles by things that are out of our purview. Yeah, like it's a really, I've never, I mean, 8 years, we're dumb that I never thought of that, but somebody did. I think Glenn did, and I think that's really smart. No, it's frustrating for everybody to have to constantly repeat that, so.
Any other adjustments to the minutes before? Good? Okay.
I would just say add to the note on item A of item 7. And I would add that note as well to item 8, because it's basically the same project. I mean, it was the same applicant, not same project, sorry, same
Jason
same
Parker.
discussion on a similar project right next door. So I would say should be addressed through the county's the planner assigned to the application or the building department.
Did we say that part in the meeting? I just wasn't here, so I just want to clarify. Yeah.
I mean,
that's
that's what
good.
we're always saying, is
Yeah.
like, you
Yeah.
gotta talk to your planner or the building department about, yeah, they were really concerned about water runoff and engineering on the slope stability, fire department issues, things that they're concerned about in their neighborhood, that they need somebody to address that for them, I assume.
With that addition, do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I so move.
Well, second,
Who's in favor? One abstention. Okay, motion carries. Okay, we will move on to SBAR members' informational briefings. Does anyone need to recuse from anything? I need to recuse from items 2, 3, and 4. I know. Hopefully Val shows up soon. 2, 3, and 4, yeah. And then 1 is dropped, so. Any other updates?
I need to recuse from item 4. Or sorry, item. Yeah, item 4.
Okay. So we need Val to get here by the time we get to items 4. Okay. Right. We'll just have to see if Val gets here.
Did you want to take just 2 and 3 first and then see what time we're at once we get to item 4?
Okay, and we'll move on to staff update.
Good morning, Madam Chair. No updates from me this morning.
Okay, I have a question. Has there been any progress on how the review process, the ministerial review process is going to be for the SB 8, 9, and 330 projects that are not going to SBAR anymore, but still need to go to Planning Commission? Who's going to be doing those reviews? Will it come to a consent or
For
their architect at the county?
for SB 9 projects, that ordinance was approved. So those projects, okay. So I guess is the question related to? I know there was discussions about hiring an architect as a consultant for the county. Is that the question?
Yes, and just there's been a lot of these applications, and they go to Planning Commission, and it looks like some of them are going to get, if the applicant agrees, are going to get kicked back to us if Planning Commission has questions. But yeah, how's that process getting ironed out?
Sure.
Or
Yeah, okay.
that review.
Okay, yeah, I can help with that. So, yes, there is a consultant contract that is in the works. I'm not really sure where exactly it is, but in the next several months, we do anticipate to have an architect on contract to help staff with evaluating projects, depending on which projects they are. Now, with regard to the projects that are going to the Planning Commission, there is one project so far that has been identified that by the Planning Commission that they wanted the BAR to review the project, and the applicant has agreed to come. And so that project will, I don't recall which date. I think it's going to be the next hearing date on the 21st of March. So that project will come forward. It is just a discussion item. So it's not agendized the same way as a standard project. But any recommendations that the BAR has will be recorded, and then that will be going forward with the applicant to the PC for review. So again, the applicant doesn't have to take those recommendations and carry them into the project. They may choose some or all or none. That is up to the applicant, and then the PC has their discretion to review the project.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to item 2, because item 1 is.
So, yeah, we have 2 items on the consent calendar. The first one on 2202 Calle Culebra, make a motion to approve as submitted. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. The item number 2, C2, the Wells Fargo ATM. Maybe I got a little bit too excited about that item, but it's just like a new element. This is it's not like a regular ATM, but it's a detached ATM, and it will create a precedent. We'll see others like that. That's why I spent a little bit more time, and I made some comments asking them to bring the least, the smallest version available. And they will continue that for the next week, the next meeting. So that was the consent calendar. The standard agenda, we have item number 2. The first item is the new barns and AG employee dwellings at 370 Ortega Ridge Road in Summerland. Page Mascari, conversion of it includes conversion of an existing garage into 730 square foot cabana, a new barn of 3,200 square feet, another barn of 3,000 square feet, and 2 agricultural employee dwellings, both of 640 square feet. On site, we have a house of 4,182 square feet and a detached garage of 745 square feet. There is less than 50 cubic yards of cut and fill. The property is 73 acres and zone AG 120, 370 Ortega Ridge Road. So is the applicant here?
We have the applicant online.
Online, great.
Good morning, Daryl Becker with Becker Studios here presenting for Santa Barbara 3 LLC. Thank you guys for being here. First of all, I wanted to clarify some information. The cut and fill counts for the overall property, there's two development zones. There's the upper zone and the lower. I'll get to that in a minute. But the cut and fill counts are cut 2250, fill 1670. For a net export of 580 yards of soil at this point. So I just want to clarify that because I think you read off that it was less than 50 cubic yards. That might have been
That's what it says in the in the description.
that might have been earlier. I don't know where that came from. So anyway, we've done conceptual civil. So I just wanted to clarify to the board.
Okay.
All right, starting on this first PDF, this property is located on Ortega Ridge Road. It's a 80-acre avocado farm. It's bound by Greenwell and Ortega Ridge. And it abuts kind of a number of properties that lift up way high above it and look over this avocado orchard. The client bought this house or property about 3 years ago, and we set the goal of a 5-year plan to convert this to an organic farm. And the plan overall is to convert to a holistic regenerative farm. And a lot of the program that we're proposing supports that program. So we've essentially just been taking a slow path to doing this, and these are the first developments on the property. If you move over to PDF 3, this gives you kind of an overview with a topographical map. If you notice up top, we've got a divided, little dash line there, and that defines the scope of work area 1, which we're calling the equipment area site plan. So what's up there right now, or what was there, is the main residence with a small 2-car garage. You can see that's a very linear residence there with a lawn in front. And then there's a small 2-car garage. And then behind it to the north was a tennis court. And then the entryway, the driveway comes in off Ortega at a 90-degree entrance through a hedge. And so a little further down the road, there's an entrance to the farm, and that's been the main entrance to the farm. And it puts a lot of traffic up on Ortega Ridge, and it also makes it kind of enter on a 90-degree. So the first part of this plan was, one, evaluating how to service the ranch. And the first thing we determined that there's 2 programs going on. One is the residential program, or the home ranch part of the program, and that should be more residential in nature. And then the second part of the program was, we have a working avocado ranch, and we grow other fruit and whatnot, and there's refrigeration trucks and all kinds of delivery trucks and boxes and picking and everything else. Most of that should come off the lesser traveled Greenwell. And so what we're trying to do is take the compression off of Ortega Ridge, make that main entrance in that house environment more like the house in the home ranch environment, and then developing the lower service part of the property down below off Greenwell. So just leading into the scope of work area 1, if you'll go to the next PDF or the next sheet, 104. This is the area, and our scope of work right now is basically this area denoted in the dark outline. So what we're doing is we're going to convert the 2-car garage to a cabana. It kind of abuts or bookends the back of the pool, as you can see here. But the scope of work there will be...
Excuse me a second. Let me indicate where. Jonathan, please zoom into the garage in the bottom. That's what he's talking about. Keep going. Yeah, center it on the page. Okay, that's what you're doing, right?
Correct.
Yes.
So as you can see, the goal there is to convert the garage to a cabana. We're architecturally modifying the cabana, but we're not making it any bigger. We're just adopting the existing garage and converting it to a cabana building. And then above that, what we're planning on doing is removing the tennis court. This whole area, it's already been cleared, but this was avocados. And so we cleared out the avocados to lay out these areas. And so the idea here was to remove the tennis court, which was in really poor shape. It was cracking, it was asphalt. And as you guys know, this area up there is full of clay materials. So we demoed the tennis court. And then if you look on the left-hand side, you'll see that access drive coming up the hill. And then you'll see this existing ag road. Currently the ag road is the main entrance to the farm. So all traffic comes in through there. And what we're trying to do is make that a secondary ag entrance. And then we're going to put the main ag entrance off of Greenwell. So, and then also, if you, the middle of this page above the bocce court area, it says entrance. That's the existing main entrance to the residence. And then there's a secondary exit access to the right up above to the north. So right now there's actually 3 there's three entrances. We have the lower farm, we have the entrance to the middle of the residence, and then we have the upper entrance or exit right up there. So it's probably best that we skip. I'd like for you to skip the next page and then go to the one following, which is labeled LC1. This is a landscape plan, and I think it does a really good job of coloring and sort of stylizing what the program's intended to be. So starting on Ortega Ridge Road to the left here, the main entrance is supposed to come in off of Ortega. The idea at that point is that we'll have a main entry experience that would lead you up to the main residence and a motor court and this barn area. And then you can see to the right immediately as a secondary sort of choked down secondary agricultural entrance, which is more of an access to the farm. But again, the idea of overall is to change the traffic so that this upper parcel, this upper area is really about the main residence and what that experience is up there. So as you come in off Ortega Ridge, you enter off the road. We have approximately 60 feet outside the main entry gate. And we've got 30 feet denoted on the plan for fire truck purposes, but then there's another 20 or so feet. So more than enough area to pull vehicles off the road and take that compression off of Ortega Ridge. Then you'd come up, move up the hill to the motor court area, which is a circular motor court. And we've sized that such that we can circulate in a radius and then also park guest parking in that radius. And then you can also exit by going up the north exit, which is an existing entrance to the property. So the idea is just cleaning up the flow up there. And then we have this new equipment barn, which is basically a garage for the main residence. It also provides some equipment that's for the farm that isn't agricultural worker equipment. The lower barn, which I'm going to cover later, will hold the kind of heavier agricultural tractors and whatnot. But this barn up here is supposed to hold the residents' vehicles as well as their other farm equipment. It's called high value equipment that would be parked up here in this barn. So essentially really what this ends up being is a landscape program up at the main house. The existing residence is fully, it's fully usable right now. We're going to convert the the garage to the cabana. We're going to create a motor court and entryway to the residence. We have this bocce court that's just adding some program for their use. And then we're building this barn, which is a functional equipment barn for their equipment for the ranch. It's likely that the formal ranch office would be here. There is another ranch office down below, but that's more of an operational office for the farm workers. So then this is the upper portion of the development, and I can take you through each one of these structures. So the next sheet, let's go a couple more. Yeah, then 2 sheets down. Let's just go to the kind of the existing garage. So this is the existing garage on the property. And, as you see, there's a garage door there. And the intention is to take this little, quaint little structure and just convert it into the cabana. It juxtaposes itself adjacent to the pool and the pool patio area. So our material board, which is on the next sheet, essentially just captures the existing style and materials on the existing farm. And, we're planning on using a Benjamin Moore integral color plaster. And then we've got a dark trim, which is the midnight oil color. The existing roof is an antique roof. It's already roofed. But obviously it would be modified accordingly to remodel the building. Gutters and downspouts would be copper, and so on and so forth. The next sheet here we have which is basically the floor plan and the layout of the conversion of this garage to the building. And then we go to sections and elevations on the next sheet here. So Again, this is existing sort of tucked in little structure. If you look at section 5 here, that is, I'm sorry, that's the south of the building. And then we're proposing to change that to French doors with some side lights into the bathroom there. And then the next lower elevation is more of just a large Nana style door towards this walled garden that happens at the north side of the property. On the east elevation of the property, that faces the pool area, and the intention there is just a very subdued, it's on the right under 1 and 2 there. It's a very subdued entry door with some small windows. And then I think that pretty much covers the cabana. The next sheet, this is a sort of a style of what we're doing on the barn up on the property. So the barn is, we've been studying a prefab barn. That's a pre-engineered barn by Barco Pruden. And what we're going to do is style it architecturally so that it feels very organic and very warm on the property. So not a metal equipment barn. We've decided to site it in wood. And this particular brand of pre-engineered barn allows for wood siding. So again, we see the landscape being sort of native trees and grasses. Then this soft architectural warm weathered wood and gravel and whatnot on the motor court. The next sheet on our plan takes you through what you see as you go up the hill on Ortega. So none of this is really visible from the street. There is a hedge of trees. So going back, there's a hedge of trees of olives along Ortega on the east side. And this building and all of these improvements would be behind that olive hedge. So you're not going to see much of this building from the street. That's on PDF 14, by the way, if you're looking for it. And then, okay, you jump to the barn elevation. So the lower south elevation of the barn, we got the elevation facing the south, and then we have the elevation facing the north. Again, the north elevation of this barn would be behind the hedge. And we can go ahead and go to the next sheet. I think that would give you the other two ends. This would be easterly elevation and westerly elevation. And so that essentially covers the core of the upper part of the parcel. I think if you flip back maybe to PDF 5 real quick. Sorry, 6, page 6 of the plan. I'll just take it back really quick to that landscape plan and layout of that upper area. I don't know if we want to cover the landscape part of the plan on this section before we drop to the lower development site. What does the board think?
Yeah, let's
That'd
do
be
that.
good.
Yeah.
All right, Sasha, do you want to tee up the landscape as it relates to this upper section?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Sasha with Arcadia Studio. And the hedge along Ortega Ridge that Daryl was just referring to is the clouded area along the roadside. That's an existing olive hedge. So that screens a majority of our property. And then on the Google Earth, you can see there's some existing palms, but all the other tree canopy that you're seeing is mostly avocados and citrus. So we're trying to reincorporate the rest of the project into that agricultural feel. So a lot of the smaller tree symbols you're seeing would be the citrus, the larger ones being avocados and olives. And then within the center of our motor court, anchoring that with a larger oak tree. And that would speak to the native plant palette we were just referencing. Within the ground covers, we'd have swaths of carex, Westringia, lavender, lamandra, to also tie into the Santa Barbara feel. And then we do have an existing bocce court, existing enclosed walled-in garden for the garage that's being converted to the cabana. And then there's some outdoor working space for the barn. And there is an elevation change between the motor court and the house. So we have a small pergola to represent the main entry into the residence. That below that would be some stone paving. And then we have some secondary gravel paths down to the secondary parking area. And I'd say that covers the landscape for this area.
Okay, so picking back up to the lower area, I think it might be best if we flip back to PDF 3 so I can orient the board as to where we are on the property. So all of the next improvements that I'm going to review are in this lower section of the property off of Greenwell down below. I don't know if you want to blow that up a little bit so we can talk about that. So right now, there's a number of entrances and exits along Greenwell, and our goal is to close off most of those penetrations because they're gates that kind of go through a thick hedged olive alley. And most of them are pretty dangerous. But down here at the bottom, there's this main entrance to the property where during picking season and whatnot, we bring in boxes and they're dropped in this lower part of the farm. And then those boxes are spread for purposes of picking and whatnot. And then they're captured and then brought back down to this location. One of the other things that's happening on the farm is we grow a lot of passion fruit, and passion fruit, when it's picked, it has to be picked at a certain time and it's generally refrigerated. And we keep it refrigerated until it's time to sell it or until, the farmer's market acquires it from us. And so because of that, we have a need for a agricultural barn at the bottom of this property. And so if you take, I think the next, let me just make sure that this is correct. We don't have that laid out. I'm sorry. We're going to jump to PDF sheet 22. And you probably need to zoom out to make this make sense at all. Okay, so this dark outlined area is the area of all the development down below. And what we're proposing there, the next sheet will delineate, is 2 small prefab agricultural employee housing units. So we'll go to the next PDF. I'll show you how this works. So the idea is that we're just going to sort of cut into the existing contour horizontally. This is sort of a downsloping area. And the proposal is to put 2 single 1-bedroom units in here for our staff housing for the farm. And so we have those 2 residential units. And then secondly, you can see we pulled off a Greenwell with a 31-foot setback to our entry gate. And then we've got a fire truck turnaround. And then there's a operations barn that's being proposed for the lower reaches there. And again, this is all very well screened behind a huge olive hedge that's probably about 25 feet tall, 25 feet tall. So all of this program is happening sort of very quietly. I mean, some of the neighbors can look down and see upon this if they're up on a hill, but other than that, from a street elevational standpoint, you're not seeing much of this program, although it's designed very nicely. The next sheet is the concept landscape plan. So I'm just going to let Sasha jump in here and then I'll jump back to the architecture later.
So for each of the units, we provided a parking area that leads to an entrance to the unit. And then that also accesses the back deck area. So they have a little outdoor space, which overlooks, again, swaths of carex. This area is a little more natural since we're sort of nestling into an existing slope. So you'd see salvia, rhamnus, muhlenbergia, and then also providing some trees to accent the space, most likely olive trees. And then down towards the barn, again, just nestling it into the existing ag field. So those tree symbols would represent more citrus trees, and then around the barn itself, nestling that back into the landscape with some larger shrubs, like the rhamnus or maybe toyon.
Okay, taking this to the next PDF, 25, you'll get a sense, I just want to show you sort of how this works and where this is located. So looking at the bottom right image, this is the street view coming up Greenwell towards Ortega Hill. So these two images on the right, and you'll see this hedge of olive, and then you'll see the middle image shows the gate cut through the hedge. And then the next one to the left, looking into, I think you just need to slide it over. There you go, looking straight into the property. So if we're looking at this bottom image on the left, the intention is to have an entry gate there about 30 feet back, and then off to the right behind the hedge would be the equipment barn. Off to the left, and up the hill would be these two residential units. Again, very well screened from the roadway. They'd be tucked back there. You really just don't see them at all. And so this E image just above that bottom left photo, this area here has existing lemon trees. That's where the residential units would sit. And then the center photo basically is a photo map showing where all this goes. But and then if you can scroll down, I'll show you the upper area where the barn is. Yeah. So anyway, it's a big open area inside that olive alley. All right, so this is our material board and stylistically what we're planning on doing with the barn. So it's not dissimilar from what happens up at the main house. The idea is to sort of pull all the architecture together with these agricultural buildings. And the only deviation on the property from that is this existing main residence up on the top of the property, which is more Spanish hacienda. The rest of these buildings are more agrarian in nature. The next
Can we go into the elevations now, because
please, let's
I
go
think we
down.
already understand the project.
Okay, great. No, down the other way. All right, right there. Two more there. So I'm sorry, that is the ag building. So I'm sorry. We want to be on 31 if we could, PDF 31. This is the barn.
Materials will be what kind of wood, cedar, what is it?
This is all wood siding. All of the buildings were proposed, or the agricultural buildings are proposed to be rough wood siding in a grayish natural weather-worn finish, which is on our material board.
Okay, very good.
Okay. So again, just very subdued. This is an agricultural building. It's a prefab building. On the sides, it has, so the PDF 30 is the side of the barn, which shows the roll-up doors. So, outwardly facing towards the north are these three roll-up doors. And the back side of it would just be a, wood-sided building. So that basically covers it for the barn. There is a sectional view, sorry, just go to PDF 33, which then takes us, or 34, which takes us to the ag housing buildings. And these are prefab units. They're made by Homonobo. And their materialism is basically corrugated metal, not dissimilar to a container type building. It isn't a container building, but it's derived from. They're quite lovely, and they're economically efficient. If you go to PDF 36, you can see the outside of these buildings. Both of them are essentially the same. They'll have doors, single man doors facing the north. You'll see the west and the east elevation. The east elevation would be towards the gardens. And then the south elevation is kind of terraced up. So it kind of looks back upon the grove or the property. I think that's it really in a nutshell, other than 38. If you want to go to 38, you'll get a sense of sort of how we've got these cut into the property on that hillside. There's a small rise there. And this is the way we're just positioning them on the hill. We're cutting them in so that they're not perched out and above.
Okay, very good.
All right, that's it for our presentation. Sasha, do you have anything else?
No, that covers it.
Very good. We go through questions from the board first.
Daryl or Sasha, could we flip to sheet 6, actually, Jonathan? Thank you. Could you guys briefly just describe how you guys anticipate the owners or the workers using the driveway where they're parking for the day-to-day and kind of how the guests will be coming in and coming out? Just a little bit about how that's going to be used.
Certainly. So all of the workers, well, first of all, right now there's 2 full-time employees on the property. And when we took over the property, they were living in illegal trailers on the property, and, you know, it was a real mess. You know, with no proper sewage disposal systems and things like that. So the first thing we did is moved everybody off the property, and then we started visualizing it. How are we going to manage this property? And so it breaks into 2 categories. We have people who work there who we intend to live there full time and care for the property. And then we have transitory staff that comes in during pruning and during picking and things like that. And so the game plan on the upper part of the parcel is to decompress that. The idea is that the day-to-day workers are living down below off Greenwell, so there really isn't a need to come and go relative to the upper part of the property for them. And anytime we have picking crews or trimming crews or anything like that, they would be entering the property off of the gated controlled area off Greenwell. And then they would be led on the property and then dispersed up through the property. There's roads all over the thing. So there really isn't any day-to-day ag worker parking there. In this upper program here, this is for the main residents and the homeowner. So the homeowner is a young family, husband and wife with 2 children. And, you know, again, they have their private entrance gate here. It's separated from the farm program. Their day-to-day would be entering through the main gate. And then we have a series of things going on. One is we have this more formal motor court that is the circular turnaround. And then you'll see there's a peel off to the right immediately. And that peel off is actually intended for fire department access. And it's also intended for informal deliveries to the residents and convenience in and out parking and circulation. So, you know, you might imagine that these owners were entertaining or something, then they might go up to the motor court, or they have their car parked in the garage. They would take that long alley up the hill through the motor court to the equipment barn. But in a efficient sort of day-to-day, I'm dropping off the groceries or the kids, they're going to come in the gate, turn right down that alley. There's a guest parking hammerhead area for a fire truck. And then that also provides ingress and egress to the cabana and the residents there.
Thank you.
Any other questions? No? Okay, we have a public speaker, Mr. Evans. Got a couple of minutes.
My name is Tom Evans. I'm here speaking for myself. I haven't seen this project yet. This is the first time I've seen it. This whole area is quite visible. The areas that are using are not as visible as some of the others, but if you're on the Whitney Avenue and Summerall looking back, this is the ridge you see that goes all the way from Greenwell, or Ortega Ridge down to where the road yard is. It goes way across the whole back of Summerland. I like what they're proposing, and it's going to be a big improvement over the kinds of uses that have occurred on this ranch and all the zoning violations and so on in the past, I think. And so I'm in favor of all that. I think personally, I think maybe barn green on some of those big barn walls and stuff might be a better alternative, but that's just my take on it. As far as the house and the cabana, those should have been done in medium to dark earth tones, but I don't think there was any BAR due to the classification of the property, maybe as ag. Previously, it didn't have BAR, so we've got some very white structures there for the residential component. I have some concern over, I like the overall character of the agricultural buildings and the barns and so on, but there's some pretty, the one that's next to the residence has a very nice character on the southeast elevation and, with a lower wall and so on, and very barn-like, but still nice. But we have some, 3 of the other sides are pretty tall walls, and I'm not sure the degree of visibility and whether they could maybe bring in some little lower roof farms to moderate that or help that. The olive trees that were mentioned.
2 minutes are up, so if you can wrap it up. Okay.
Okay, the olive trees that were mentioned, that go around the corner on Greenwell, those are actually planted in the right of way. They block views that are mentioned in the community plan, views of the mountains and so on that are supposed to be retained from those roads. And they are so thick that they actually preclude people from walking or riding a horse on that side of the road. And so that's something that should be addressed. And that occurs from about where the lower barns and accessory structures are going to be all the way around, quite a ways around the corner. So that's it. With this pretty comprehensive proposal, and I think it all looks pretty good, but it might be worth a site, considering a site visit. Thank you.
Thank you.
I do see we have some people online, so I'd like to give them the opportunity if they want to speak on this item. If you'd like to give a public comment on this item, please raise your hand in the chat. We did receive one letter for this item, and they did resubmit a revised version that I have uploaded as well. I'll put it on the screen right now.
Is there a comment about the 16-foot height limit from the planner?
This is not relevant.
Is David Bills back? Yeah.
Hey, David, are you online?
Yes, I'm here.
I believe they had a question about the 16-foot height limit.
Is there such a height limit on this property?
I need to look into it. There are ridgeline, hillside guideline height limits for rural areas that typically applies to development that's located, where there's a 16-foot drop over 100 feet in elevation. So kind of just analyzing the topography to see if the proposed barn is, within that threshold or not. It seems to be located in a relatively flat area surrounding it. So within 100 feet of the development footprint. Doesn't seem like there's going to be a 16-foot drop for the structure or for where the structure is located, but that's going to be included in the scope of review. And Yeah,
There is-
likely ask for that to be demonstrated on plans. Still working on getting an initial feedback letter out. So we'll make sure everything complies with applicable height limits.
Thank you.
Okay,
The only other question I had was just the grading violation that's on the second sheet in the drawing package, but is also referenced here. Is the proposed project addressing that
Yes.
also?
Yeah, it's just, that's a stockpile of soil related to removal of the all avocado trees.
And I guess also to the planner, just if this is if the proposal is addressing.
Yeah, so this application does include grading to, validate existing grading that's been done and make sure that everything's being engineered properly. So yeah, this permit is addressing the open grading violation.
Okay, thanks.
I have one question for the planner. Is there a different height requirement for an agricultural barn than for other structures?
I don't believe so. The height is based on the zone district and based on hillside ridgeline guidelines.
Okay,
this
so whether it's
property,
a
I believe
barn
it's
or
rural.
not, if there's a 16-foot drop in 100, it would be subject.
Yes.
And is there an exception for a roof pitch over 4 on 12? Is that?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
that would
believe
be-
there's an additional 3-foot exception
Yeah.
there.
I have one more question, Sasha or Daryl. Is the northern gate, is that intended to be the same style or the same detail that you have shown on sheet 7?
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll
The same.
further detail that later, but yeah, we're trying to make them all consistent.
Okay, thank you.
Tom, would you like to say anything, an extra comment?
All of Summerland in the rural area is 16-foot height limit,
Okay,
all ridgeline height.
Okay, right.
All of it. So this would be 16 foot. I'm not sure about the.
okay, so any
What is the height of the barn?
25?
Drawings have it at 25 roof line.
This isn't restricted to 16 feet on the barn.
The planners will have to look at it, I guess, yeah. Because it's quite a, it's quite a change, yes.
Good.
Would like to start with the comments.
I'll go ahead. I think the program looks good and is definitely cleaning up some issues that have historically been on that property. So, fine with the style of the employee housing. The comment from the public about the olive hedge, that seems like another question for planning, how to deal with that. That's a historically just planted by previous owner screen in the right of way. It does screen things very well from the road. So, and then, yeah, we'll wait for what planning comes up with regarding the barn height. But in terms of the materials and the layout, it seems good.
Yeah, just, I would just add, I think sort of the program of what you're doing on the north side of the property and then the south side of the property, I think separates the uses well. And then, and also moving a lot of the ag circulation to the, off of Greenwell, I think is successful, as well as sort of cutting down on the amount of entrances into the property and even limiting what we're looking at here at the north portion to 2 entrances versus 3, and sort of continuing the hedge. I think it's a nice project. I can support the architectural style for the barn and also for the employee housing.
Josh?
Just to start, I wanted to compliment the applicant and their team for assembling a very comprehensive document here and very well drawn and very well detailed and makes our job a lot easier. Thank you. Architectural style seems very compatible with the neighborhood or the surrounding area, so that, I think that's very supportable. The general mass, bulk, and scale of everything proposed seems acceptable to me. The site configurations and the use of the new drives in and out of the property along Ortega Ridge Road, I think are well designed, will probably improve safety entering and exiting Ortega Ridge, and appear to be very attractive additions to that kind of more public part of the project. There also seems to be adequate screening being provided along Ortega Ridge Road, which I know is important to that neighborhood, so that's great too. I don't see any particular exception to anything that needs my attention at the moment, so I'm generally in support of the project and looking forward to seeing it come back moving forward.
Yeah, I concur with the sentiments. I think the project is really well designed and the materials and mass, bulk, and scale seem appropriate for this site and the current usage. I think maybe commenting on the hedge down below Greenwell that was mentioned, I think we can maybe comment on that. I think it's a beautiful hedge. It's very mature. Be very hard to replace something like that. So I would be in support of keeping that hedge as it is, if that's possible. Just want to make that a comment out there. I would say, looking at this motor court, that I think it's laid out nicely and it looks like it's accomplishing what we need for fire department access. I would say maybe just a suggestion would be to look at the gates. I think it would be helpful to have some type of hierarchy. I think currently the northern gate is more of like a service-oriented gate currently. And I don't know what the day-to-day, if it's going to be used a lot going out that northern gate, but potentially understating that one a little bit might be helpful from a neighborhood standpoint or visibility standpoint, and not be confusing. But overall, I think it's a great project and definitely in support of it.
Great. I concur. I think it's very well designed and very well drawn and presented. I have two suggestions, comments. One is regarding this picture that we're looking at, the formality of the layout, and I think it works well and so forth. Just that it's it's Santa Barbara, it's Summerland, it's not Versailles, it's not Italy. There's some formality that perhaps you find a way to soften it, maybe with the use of the landscaping, or maybe the circle is not exactly a circle. Anyway, I just want you to consider it. Maybe it's a lone opinion, but it just seems like it's a little bit of a forced formality. It adds an element of, I don't know, I'm not sure how to phrase it, but it seems to be a little bit over the top in the formality aspects. I think the architecture speaks for itself, and it has that class. So I'm just commenting on that. Maybe it's just the use of landscaping in this circle, or the way to approach that or the paving materials or the edge or something that softens the formality of the design. The second comment refers to the employee housing, which is towards the end. I'm not sure if you can, I forgot what page it is. Jonathan, if you can go down to, I think it's towards the end. Keep going. Where are we? Somewhere in there. No, employee housing, which is very nicely done. Usually the problem, usually the issues with containers is the width and the lack of overhangs, that sometimes we ask applicants to add them or to figure out how to provide either a trellis or some kind of an element that welcomes and creates some element of shadows. These are simple buildings, so a metal trellis will work just great, or maybe it's just an overhang with brackets or something like that. But it seems like it will complement these simple buildings. And then the issue you have to resolve is a 16-foot height. Maybe something that you need to work out with the planner. And how would the board like this project to come back? Is it ready for preliminary or what?
I would say, Mr. Chair, based on the level of detailing, as long as the comments are clear, I think it should come back for preliminary.
Okay, all right. Is that it? Yeah, okay, so we'll
It
see.
actually is, if they, with the amount of detailing, they could probably come back for preliminary and final. I wouldn't be uncomfortable with that. You can ask around here, but.
Support preliminary, final, with additional details.
Okay, so here you go, preliminary and final with final details. Okay, all right, very good. See you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Then we're moving on to item number 3, Valley Heart Ranch alterations. Request by Becker Studios to, we've seen this project before and we have some comments. This is on 2275 Ortega Hill Road. The comments, the board is split in support of the architectural style of the proposed project. Some members are supportive of the architectural style and standing seam metal roof, but believe the windows should be recessed. Other members do not feel the structure is in keeping with the beachside cottage vernacular of Summerland and do not agree with the standing seam metal roof. So here we have a split comments. The board is in agreement that streetscape engagement is critical for success of the project, provide more interaction between the interior spaces, outdoor patio seating, and the street. Consider a patio adjacent to the street. There's a comment C to use a lighter color. And there's a comment about the artist's rendering to follow the sensitivity of the sensibility of the original renderings in terms of fenestration, color, scale, and proportions. So, there's a memo too. Okay.
All right, everybody.
Here it says reflective metal should be avoided for use as roof material. Appropriate colors and colors of the body should complement the architecture. Can you raise it up a little bit? What does it say there? Consider color. Blues, grays, and etc. It's a comment about distinction between commercial core and residential areas. And something about maybe slightly recessed windows. Okay. Right, very good. So do we have a presentation?
Yes, Daryl Becker with Becker Studios presenting for 2275 Ortega Ridge LLC. Since our last meeting, we took a lot of the board's notes to heart. So probably the best thing to do is go to the finish schedule, which is that page right there, one before that. So when we first came in here, we came in with more of a dark colored building. It was stained charcoal.
Yep.
And what we decided to do is flip or invert the color vernacular. So the proposed finish on the outside of the building is, this is again, natural wood, raw wood stained with cabbage stain, semi-transparent silver beach, which is meant to be kind of a weathered gray, natural gray. The intention of that is that we would stain it and then it would just age from that point. The trim would be Midnight Oil from Benjamin Moore, and that would be on the trims and the windows. And then, so we basically inverted the color of the entire building to soften it and make it more light and beach-like, if you will. We also have outside of the building some exterior trellises, and those would be out of iron, and those would also be in the Benjamin Moore Midnight Oil color. But as you see in this middle image here, you've got a rendering of the building itself, and above that, you've got a stylistic image of what we're going for and what the color of this building would look like. And since the last time we were here, you know, we've met with roads, we've met with transportation, we've met with Caltrans, we've talked to basically every agency known to man, because this is the existing building is really kind of shoehorned in on this parcel. And we've been able to work through how we can provide proper accessibility for parking and you know, required bike storage, also comply with Summerlin plan with regard to having parking screened from the street, things like that. So it's been very difficult, but we've been able to navigate that. And so all of those items have been put on the plan. Probably the largest thing that we've done was derived from the comments that this board imparted, which was, if you'll go to PDF 6 on the floor plan, what we did, you take the existing building is sort of, it's sort of closed off to the street, if you will. There's a couple of patios that have been put in, you know, without permits over the years. But this board asked us, because what we had done originally is we put all the seating on the freeway side of the building and created a bigger court on the freeway side. This board asked us if we would consider opening the north of the property to the street, creating a, let's call it a more customers to street experience. So we took the middle of the building and we did that. We created this patio and an opening. So the program right now is basically a coffee bar or bar at the south suite of the building. And then we have a restaurant at the mid to north suite. And then in between them, we have this common dining area or shared seating area. Some of it's inside, some of it's outside, and some of it's on the north on the street, and some of it's on the south, meaning up against the freeway. And we've created an environment there with trees and whatnot to allow that to occur. If you go all the way back to PDF 20, I'm sorry, get you in the right place here. What I'd like to do is drop back to PDF 16. This gives us a visual image of how we're engaging the street from the north. And this board is what asked us to do that. The only real criticisms we had were the darkness of the building and the color of that being that charcoal stain. And again, we've reverted it to more of a soft, well-weathered wood. But also we engaged the street both with the storefronts, which were previously represented but not illustrated very well. But in the mid level of the building, we added this outdoor dining area that would engage the street with our customers in the dining room, but also be open and more of a friendly sidewalk experience. So if you go to the next PDF, you'll get a sense of the same thing a little further down the road. Looking back, again, the storefronts right now are very closed off on the building. We're trying to open them up to engage the street, and that was a goal of ours as ownership. And then if you go to the next PDF, you'll see the backside of the building. And this is more of a private patio. If somebody doesn't want to sit at the street side, they can go in the back here and hang out in the back or have a nice quiet meal. So overall, the goal with the original plan of this property was essentially just to ADA the building. We got into it. Condition of the building is really bad. So we started looking at the overall, and we realized we needed to renovate it all. And essentially that's what we've come up with. I'm trying to think here. We've clarified all of our finished materials, which are back on PDF 4. It's going to be a mix of board form concrete, wide plank wood in natural tones. We have a non-reflective standing seam metal roof. It's currently specified as a dark color. We'd like it to be either charcoal. In the absence of that, we'd be willing to go with bonderized metal, something that's gray and matte finish, but we want it to be very organic and natural, and we want to stay away from composition shingles.
Very good.
Sasha, do you want to add anything to the landscape discussion?
Hey, Daryl, it's Will with Arcadia Studio. Sasha was handling.
Okay, sorry, Will.
No, it's all right.
Hey, Will, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. No, nothing really to add except that we're just trying to kind of follow the board's recommendations and keeping the landscape sort of low water use, native Mediterranean plants, and we're using some aromatic plants as well. The solar orientation is not super favorable. It's a little shady on that side. So we're going to try to get as many aromatic plants along the street as we can, but it is a little shady. So, but we do, we're basically just sort of enhancing what's there. We're adding some olive trees along the backside of that courtyard between the freeway and the courtyard, and protecting the existing trees that are there.
Thank you. I think that's it for us, guys.
I have a question. There was a comment from the previous meeting about the renderings, that the original concept renderings were quite different from the executed CAD files. Do you have that rendering?
The previous rendering?
It was the original concept. So maybe it wasn't submitted this time.
We would typically would not submit a prior, that's just not normal. But you guys should have it, the county has it. I don't know if it's loadable. But I'm not understanding the question. What was rendered previously was
just
the first proposal.
Because it was a comment from the previous, it gives us some context.
It's like it was continued from June 7th of 24.
So this is the front elevation of the original rendered building. You can see the center was not engaged to the street.
Right. But there wasn't there a hand-drawn concept? And that's, there it is.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. Okay.
that's where we started, right?
Right. Okay. So the two gable forms are equal in this sketch.
Right,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Any other questions from the board? No? Okay, comments?
Well, you need to do public.
I'm sorry, Tom, I almost forgot about you. You got 3 minutes.
Good afternoon. I'm Tom Evans here speaking for myself. So want to remind you, last time I read the description of what the seaside is and should be in the commercial zone of Summerland. It's not an East Coast or other style. It's a West Coast influence. In other words, something that would have been built here. And just looking at what I see, and the rendering that people generally like better is, I think this is an improvement, but I think that I'm not too concerned about the difference in size of the two gables, but I think that it would be better, more Summerland if it were a little lower pitch. And if you look at the original drawings at the west elevation, it showed on that elevation, it showed a lower pitch. And it just fits, it's just more what Summerland should be as far as the type of, this is a little bit drastic, and it just would be better with a lower pitch and more compatible with the neighborhood. Summerland used to have down at Seaside Oil where the park is now and extending farther down was Seaside Oil. And we had corrugated buildings down there, totally corrugated. And so that's a historic thing. And when they did the Just Folk building, they used kind of a bonderized, almost like a galvanized, heavy galvanized. It had a real rough finish, corrugated roof, and that's very successful and more in keeping with the kind of the historic, nature of Summerland. So I think those are two things that should be done. And in the middle of the color board, there's a building that has lower pitches and a little bit of overhang, and that softens it as well. Couple other comments. The proposal is way over the floor area ratio, and it has this, even with the floor area ratio that the building has, it's way over what standard is, and he's proposing even more. I'm not sure how he's trying to do that, but the other thing is it's got parking. There's nowhere near enough parking, and that's something that they have to, definitely have to deal with somehow. Well, the Just Folk building actually did underground parking, so maybe that needs to be considered. Anyway, thank you. And this is kind of a key site in Summerland. This corner is the entry to the town. We want it to be Summerland, not, something that's off down the road someplace.
3 minutes.
That concludes the public comment period. Are there any comments from the board?
Go ahead and start. It's much improved from the dark color, but I am, and the engagement with the street is great. I appreciate the work that went into doing that. That's all very good, but it does still feel very extreme in terms of its style to the entrance to Summerland. And it feels sort of caught in its own time zone. It doesn't feel timeless to me. So I am concerned about the lack of overhangs, the steep pitch, the sleek metal roof. Not that it's not beautiful, but I'm not sure that it's the right approach for the anchor to the town of Summerland. And I know this is an ambitious project that it sounds like has grown exponentially for you from what you thought, with ADA upgrades to now a real major investment in this. But yeah, it feels a bit caught in its own time and not the long range time for Summerland.
I'll jump in on the landscape. I'll kind of defer the architecture to the architects on this one because I do think it's a really important building to Summerland for a lot of reasons. A lot of, the businesses that have been there, the Bikini Factory, the Tinkers, just growing up in that area, I think it's an important building to a lot of people. With that being said, I think the landscape is a huge improvement to what's currently there. Maybe the only comment about the back courtyard, I think that'll be a really nice space. It's unfortunate it's so close to the freeway, but that's just what it is. I do remember sitting in the back of Tinker's room, and it's really loud back there, as you guys know. So I don't know if there's any consideration about some type of built element rather than just trees, but I think that's more of a decision for the applicant. But overall, I think it's a really nice, investment in this corner of Summerland. I think for the new generation of residents there, I do agree with some of the sentiments of my colleague about the architectural style, although beautiful, kind of going back to the Scandinavians in vogue, but it is maybe a little bit of a departure for Lily Ave. Thank you. But overall, a really nice project and look forward to seeing it come back.
This is the first time I'm seeing it. I can understand the difficulty that people living in this area would have. There's, you know, sentimentality here around what was there and what's happening and where it's going. So, but having said that, you know, and I know that there's a lot of sentimentality around that particular site for people that are local to this area, stop there or who live there. It's pretty indelible. So I concur that it is a very important part of Summerlin's character. Having said that, if the decision's been made to renovate this site and property in a kind of a holistic manner, then that's what's happening. So I want to get behind that effort and making sure this gets done to the best of our kind of combined abilities here. So, you know, starting with the ADA upgrades, those are fantastic things that make this project usable for everyone. So that should be applauded, and we should not lose sight of that. The fact that there will probably be more comfortable areas for potentially larger groups of people to enjoy this, that'd be great too. I know that it can get, you know, there's not a lot of space to enjoy there currently. It's pretty quaint. I don't know if that, I don't really have an opinion about that, but it looks like this will accommodate more use. I appreciate that it's kind of I think it qualifies as an adaptive reuse project. So, you know, it has bragging rights in terms of being, whatever you want to call it, ecologically sound or green or just, you know, a lesser use of materials and embodied energy to build it. It's reusing something that's apparently hit its limit of use and it's now getting a pretty sturdy upgrade. So that's always something that I think architects and designers should be applauding, and the community should be happy about. So it has a lot going for it, just in terms of what it's trying to do. So the architectural character, I don't know. I mean, we've looked at like the old yellow house and saw what happened with that recently, and it's kind of unfortunate. It just sits empty. There's lots of funky stuff that's come in, and I don't know, the 30 years I've been around the Summerlin area, it's changed a lot. So I don't have any particular exceptions. This feels like something you would see by the beach. It doesn't feel like it's trying to be overly sophisticated. It seems very simple, very kind of rural, kind of like the crummy stuff that got built up and down the coast of California during the 20s and 30s. It's just kind of like this backhanded kind of slapped together thin wall construction everywhere. It's not hard to believe that this looks like, you know, something that would come from that era. It's, you know, the wood siding is going to look very, I think, nice. The color of it matters. I think it's brighter is better, and that's where he went. So, you know, it has a slight kind of warehousey, cannery look to it. But there is no canneries up here. It's just, you know, that this is more like kind of an old, looks like an old commercial construction on the beach. I don't know. I'm sorry, I'm rambling on. It's the first time I've looked at it, but it looks to be well detailed. And so can I find that the architectural style is compatible with the neighborhood? I think so. Unless somebody points out to me what's incompatible about it, looks fine to me. It is what's coming. I would, I don't want to see anything. It looks very nice. This could have gone horribly wrong. We've seen people make really bizarre additions and adaptive reuse projects especially in sensitive areas. And it might not be perfect, but it's pretty darn close to the mark, I think. And there isn't a horde of people here screaming and yelling at us about it. So that kind of surprises me. I would have expected more people from Summerlin to be interested in this. We spent weeks and months dealing with the underpass. This is probably a little bit more prominent than the underpass. So given that there's not a lot of outcry, I think we should move it forward.
I guess, yeah, so this is also my first time reviewing it. I think if you can go to number 4, page 4. I think it definitely looks like it was a large, and scroll down a little bit. That's good. Just I want to see the inspiration image and the rendering it together. Yeah, thanks. So I think going to the lighter color was definitely a good direction. Having activating the seating on the street side, I think, was also a positive. Very familiar with this site, so I think maintaining that is important. I think the material palette is nice. I would suggest considering looking at potentially having more of a overhang with the roof eave, similar to the inspiration image, just to give the facade a bit more depth, just with the shadow lines and everything, because I think having it be really simple, obviously the detail, we'll be really looking at the details. So that's kind of my main thing, is just really reviewing the details when it comes back. And I would also support, I think one of the other comments was maybe studying how to recess the doors and windows a bit more. So that would be my other comment.
I agree with the comments, especially with the last comments. I was going to say the same. I like the project a lot. I think it's well designed. And I was thinking that maybe just a small rake and eave detail, even 12 inches, it will really enhance it will make everybody happy, I would just say, in terms of compatibility and quality. I understand that you do not have exposed wood in these elevations. I don't see much of it, but it adds a new element, but it's doable. Can you enlarge the picture a little bit, both on the one below? You see the low pitch roof is also good. It kind of gives that funkiness, that cottage quality to it, and it takes some of the the more monumental aspect of the gable ends. But I think some minor detail adjustments could go a long ways, and I agree with the previous comment about adding a little bit of rake and eave details. So to wrap it up, how would the board like this project to continue, to come back to us? It's just for further conceptual review, and I think we have reviewed it. We have done that.
Preliminary.
Hmm?
I would suggest to come back for preliminary.
Okay. I think this project is ready for preliminary approval. And so we have the comments that
I think it could be agendized for preliminary and final, depending on what they bring back. If we're gonna, I mean, preliminary is an approval, so.
Oh, right, but also final, it can be done on consent too.
Yeah, if they want to bring back the
Yeah.
whole detail set, then we can get,
Okay,
shave off one meeting for the applicant and the county.
okay, right. And I think we should include the comment on the detail, on the roof detailing. I support the roof pitch. I don't know. A comment from, excuse me, it's a comment about the roof pitch. Are you in support of the roof pitch or not?
Are you asking me, Alex? I'm supportive of the project as designed.
And so am I. No, I'm sorry. We disagree. Okay. Very good. Yep. Okay. All right. Very good. Thank you.
Very good.
Okay, and finally, we move on to item number 4.
Bahaj addition.
Taking a little bit long today to move this agenda. Okay, so I saw no photos on the file on the folder. Do we have photos now? Or
No, I did not hear back from the applicant for this permit.
Is the applicant here online?
Is the applicant for item number 4, Bahaj addition, present? No, we don't have anybody online for this item.
Okay, all right, so we'll move on then to the, yeah, we continue that and make a comment to bring pictures on the of the project. And then we move on to item number 6. 5 is continuous, so we're making progress here. It's a, this is for 4210 Yano Avenue, a request by Erica Obertelli and Ellen Bilston for a renovations of a single-story residence, full remodel of the existing 3,500 square foot dwelling and garage, additions of approximately 3,000 square feet, a new 415 square foot attached carport.
We have the applicant online.
The proposed project will require 1,450 cubic yards of cut and 770 cubic yards of fill. The property is in the 3.5 acres on 4210 Yano Avenue in the eastern Goleta Valley. So is Erica here online?
I don't have those applicants online. It could be. We don't have any time certains on these items, so everybody's supposed to be here at 9 a.m.
Well, can we give them a call, give Ellen Bilston a call? Great. So let's take a 5-minute recess. Okay.
Take a 5-minute recess. Thank you.
We had a few jumps, yeah. All right. Okay, we can just wait till she gets here. You can catch your breath, yeah. I think I just turned it on. Okay. Yeah, exactly. I'll give you an intro first, Erica, while you catch your breath. All right, so we are on to item 6. Let me get to the right agenda. At the request of Erica Obertelli and Ellen Bildston, agents for the owner, Catherine and Greg Heller, here for conceptual review of renovations of a single-story residence, including a full remodel of the existing 3,468 square foot dwelling, attached garage, and additions of approximately 3,000 square feet and a new 415 square foot attached garage. The project proposes conversions and additions of an existing 523 square foot barn, 700 square foot guest house, and construction of an attached 161 square foot storage and bathroom structure. Additionally, the project proposes driveway, pool and spa, sports court, pergola, outdoor kitchen, and 133,000 square feet of landscaping. Currently, there's a main residence. That's kind of repetitive. Okay, let's see. The project will require 1,450 cubic yards of cut, 770 fill, and it's a 3.5 acre parcel located at 4210 Yano Avenue in the Eastern Goleta Valley area. You can see your name. And
Thank you. This is Erica Obertelli. And Ellen Bildston. So what we have here is an existing single-family residence. It sits at the back edge of a cut on a flat part of the parcel. You can see it's almost east-west in terms of orientation. There's an existing driveway coming up from Yano Avenue. We plan on using the greater majority of that driveway, and then making a few modifications in order to provide a fire department turnaround. One thing I wanted to mention that's different from these plans is we now have an approved turnaround from the fire department. So I brought a copy of the civil plan just so you guys can see that. But aside from that, the two plans are largely the same. And we have gone through the Hope Ranch review process and we have final from them. We're not proposing any second stories. Everything remains on a single story. The barn you see to the left of the driveway halfway up the property, that will be converted to the guest house. It's an L-shaped building with an overhanging porch, and we're just using the entire footprint and then bumping forward for a small entry area and adding a little gardener's water closet as well. Next slide, please. Here you see the original configuration of the driveway, but we have since adjusted this configuration. The footprint of the residence is largely, actually, this is correct. So that's the main change that's happened. If you could do the next slide. These are just the civil notes for grading and erosion. So please continue. Yeah, I think I'll do that on our sheet. Here you can see the landscape plan. So we're installing largely native vegetation around the house to provide coverage in the areas that will be disrupting. There will also be a new sport court that you see on the far left. And that shaded area that goes from the guest house to the sport court is an existing access path that we'll be maintaining. Please proceed. That's the sport court. And continue. So here you can see the existing driveway, that existing path, the location of the sport court, and then the house with the addition to the south end on the east side, as well as the addition on the west wing to the primary bedroom. There's a small new addition there. The goals of the addition were to provide an entry to the house, which previously really didn't exist, and then to accommodate a lounge for the pool area and 2 guest bedrooms. Here you can see the existing residence and then the way in which we maintained that existing bar and then added on to it. The roof plans were largely maintaining the slopes of the existing roofs and then just continuing the concept of the gable throughout. There's the new guest house. You can see the front bump for the new entry and then the addition at the back for the gardener's water closet. On the final sheet, I believe. Those are all. Is there anything you wanted to add? I think that concludes our presentation. There we go. There's the elevations of the house.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to questions from the board. Anybody have any questions?
Is there also like a materials board? Because you
Yeah.
mentioned having
Yeah.
vinyl from,
We have a materials board. I can forward that to you.
it's, okay.
Yeah, it's on an updated elevation sheet. We had a package to provide to you, but we only got less than a week's notice for this meeting, so we weren't able to change out the drawings.
Then are there, I see the existing plan and then the proposed plan. Are there also existing elevations?
Not in this package, but we do have the existing photographs of the house.
Sorry, Chair, they are here for conceptual, so if they wanted to forward them to me, I can upload the materials board since they are not here for any approvals.
Yeah. Is it easy enough for you guys to send them over while we're, would you be able to?
While we're still here,
If you'd
Yeah.
like us to comment to them,
we would appreciate that.
okay.
And we're proposing a sort of a silver wood vertical siding, a dove gray plaster, and then a basalt, sort of a shale gray metal finish on all the metal pieces of the house, including the windows and doors.
Okay. Yeah, would you be able to? Then, then if they can make it to Jonathan, then we can put them on the screen and then it,
Understood.
yeah,
Um,
save you some extra comments next time.
okay, give me a moment.
Do you have any other questions?
Yeah,
Madam Chair, I had one question. I just, to the applicant, are there any changes to the window, the exterior? I'm interested in what's changing on the exterior. I understand there's a material palette change. Are any of the windows or any significant changes to the exterior openings and configurations of the?
In the existing bedrooms to the west end of the house, those openings remain in the same place. We are adding windows along the north side of the house because that walkway currently just has cabinets along it. The primary bedroom window becomes a door and then moves further south, but it remains similar to what's existing. And then the same happens with the living room area where there's currently a large sliding door that now becomes a larger sliding door for the great room. So the concepts are very parallel to what exists.
And what's the, so I assume a whole new window package throughout? Are you guys doing
That's correct.
what metal window, wood, what
Metal windows, yes, similar to what's existing. It'll be a weather shield
color?
to match the metal. So shale is the color of the metal that we're using for the roofing.
Shale, like gray?
It's like a
Muddy?
65% French gray.
You can zoom in into that.
Thank you.
The screen showed a little different. All right. Here, did you have a question?
yeah, just real quick on the landscape plan, on Yano Drive, there's a really substantial screening material along there. I didn't see any planting there. I assume you guys are keeping that in place?
We are. We're trying to maintain all the trees on site as much as possible. There's a couple that need to come out for health. But along both the eastern edge of the property and the back side, as well as the south edge, there's a good amount of tree cover that we're maintaining.
It's a pretty like we can't see this project.
Yeah, we story pulled this for Hope Ranch and you really cannot see it from anywhere.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have a question on the guest house, I guess, the little house. Does it have a porch or how does the entrance go? It seems like something that looks like a porch, but then it's enclosed.
It's just a front entryway with a closet. So when you come in, you have a place to.
There's no porch, there's no roof
No.
covering, nothing. Okay.
I just have one minor question. It looks like the new route for the driveway is going to get really close to existing oaks. Have you guys already engaged with an arborist?
We have an arborist and there's an arborist sheet in the set. We do have to remove some oaks. There are many on site. And we have a plan for the ones that have to be removed.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? All right, we'll move on to public comment. Is there anyone in the audience or online that would like to speak on this item?
We have received no letters for this item. We do have one person in the attendees column. If anybody would like to make a public comment on this item, please raise your hand in the chat. Seeing none.
Close public comment and move on to comments from the board. Let's start. Oh, no. Okay, let's start with Josh.
Well, I'll just start by saying you guys, Ellen, you and your team always bring these older kind of sleepy ranch style homes back to new life, and you guys really do a good job of it. The last ones we've gotten to see have been really great. So I think this one's right in line with that kind of tradition you guys are carrying on, taking these kind of sleepy old houses and making them really interesting and beautiful again. So I compliment you on that.
Thank you.
And again, like the previous project, it's like an adaptive reuse project, right? It saves a lot of material and time and energy, and it's just it's a good design technique and not easy to do. So I applaud that. So, it's totally consistent with the neighborhood because it's the same house, just bringing it to new life. So architectural style, I can find that that's acceptable to the neighborhood. Asphalt and scale are fine. And the improvements to the site seem to be, I find no exception with any of that. So I think it's a very supportable project. I just want to make sure we have all the right documentation the next time we see you. And I'm looking forward to just seeing what your palette is. I'm sure it's great, but just make sure we treat everybody fairly. That's something we need to see today.
I forwarded that document to Martin. Hopefully he can pull it up.
I'll let you know as soon as it comes through.
It's on the elevation sheet.
To Amy?
I think I echo a lot of what Josh said. I think as far as the layout and the extension of the house, I think that all is pretty compatible, and I think it will be a real improvement on the site. And I think my main comments will come, I think, with the finishes and just understanding the finish and the detail. But I think overall, the concept is a nice project.
I agree. I think it's a nice project. I kind of was wondering about the guest house. Usually have a front porch or at least an eave where you ring the bell or somebody comes in and, or it has no, and it just seems a little bit unwelcoming, but it's a minor detail. You may want to think about it.
Let's finish architectural thoughts. Sorry, Carrie, and then we'll back to Lynn.
Yeah, I think it looks fine as a project.
I don't have too much to add. I think it's looks like a nice project. I think the driveway would be nice. We'll see the hammerhead and how that works out. There's a little bit of concern of how it does kind of go into the canopy of the trees in those areas, but I think you guys have a really detailed arborist report that looks like it's being addressed. Overall, though, I think it's a really nicely designed project.
Great. So let's see, did that come through?
It did, but I'm just having a little issue having it render on the screen. Looks like a large file.
One more. My only other comment is just when we review it again, it'd be helpful to have everything in one document because it's a little difficult sort of going between them.
Thank you. We would have liked to have that as well.
Is this a correct sheet for the materials board on the elevation side?
Yes, it's on that. If you go up, it's on that sheet.
It's on the sheet.
One more up. Yeah, this sheet.
This one
It
is.
just needs to load for a while. Let's wait for a second, John.
Yeah, it's coming in.
The hammerhead is also in this set, if you would like to look at that and review it.
There it is.
There's the material board. So can you clarify the difference when you're using the two different wood finishes?
Certainly, the wood on the top right is for the beams, and then the vertical siding is the bottom left. Chimneys have that stone. It's a lump oak stone. And then you see the dark metal for the fascia and windows
And the roof,
and the roof. Yeah,
same color.
correct.
Madam Chair, I'd like to add one comment to my previous comments. Just applicant to return with existing and proposed elevations on the same sheet.
Yeah.
Great. I think no other comments. And we don't make a motion with conceptual. So does the board feel like they can come back for prelim and final full board? Or, yeah, okay.
Thank you very much.
Madam
we-
Chair, I do
yes.
see Kurt Magnus in the audience, and he is here for item number 5, Mujahid Edition.
That was one we made a motion to continue already. So are we able to reopen it? Yes? Okay.
Kurt, are you ready? Is it-
Yeah, so we need to make a motion to not continue item 5. All those in favor? Do we need a first and second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay. All right, so jumping back to item 5. While we're doing this, Jonathan, can you confirm with the applicant of item 4 that they're not coming today?
Yes.
Okay, so we know whether we're jumping around. Okay, item 5, the request of Kurt Magnus, architect for the owner, Tiffany and Tarek Mujahid, for conceptual review of a 1,122 square foot addition to an existing single-family dwelling. There's an existing 1,538 square foot residence attached 2-car garage and shed on the property. The proposed project requires no cut or fill, and the property is 1 acre, located at 2695 Memory Lane in the Mission Canyon area. Go ahead and state your name and give us your presentation.
Hi, this is Kurt Magnus, and thank you for accommodating my tardiness.
No problem.
So this house there's an existing house on it. It's in Mission Canyon. We're adding a living room and a bedroom addition to the house. It's on a steep slope, so we're limited to areas that are flat. So that's why it's kind of the configuration it is. You can go to the elevations, I guess. Existing house is kind of a combination of boxes architecturally, and so we're continuing that theme with box shape additions, flat roof or parapeted walls. It's stucco, it's metal roof. It's all high fire. Actually, the house was burned down at one point, and then they rebuilt. So it's pretty straightforward. We can't build on the slope. We're building on the flats. There's also a endangered species of some sort that's on the, so there's an area we can't build at all into, or rare something or other, I forget. It's in the report that, I don't know if you guys looked at it or not, but. So that's it.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to questions from the board. Anybody have any questions?
Do you have existing and proposed elevations on the same sheet or something that we can see? Or is it clear to see what you're adding?
That's, well, the floor plans are.
Yeah, but in elevations.
But not the elevation. Do we have, I don't, no, we don't.
Okay, just go to the elevation.
You look at the elevation sheet, it identifies areas.
The ones on this circle, right? Those are new.
Yeah.
Okay.
The,
How about the other page, the other one?
you zoom in a little bit more, you could always see the.
Yeah, and then, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
And
Okay.
there's photographs too of the existing building. You zoom in on the, yeah, that's the front, which you see when you come up Memory Lane, which is a private drive. And that's off. There's a rooftop deck on the existing up there. Neighbors are off to the photo on the right is showing the neighbor uphill.
Is there a materials board?
No, I mean, on the elevations it's shown, we're basically plaster and metal. There might be a materials board on the elevation sheet.
Are you planning to change the colors at all from the existing?
No, we're just kind of matching what's there, which is a kind of an Adobe. I guess I didn't put the metal roof is a dark bronze.
The canopies you're adding, those are like metal canopies?
Yes, yeah, they're
Okay.
awning.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions from the board? Move on to public comment. Is there anyone in the audience or online who wishes to speak on this item?
We have received no public comment. We do have one person in the attendees column. If anybody would like to make a comment on this item, please raise your hand in the chat. See none.
Public comment and move on to comments from the board. Start with Alex.
Seems like a perfectly fine, acceptable addition to an existing residence, matching and maybe improving the existing details. So I'm in support of it.
Val?
Yes, I agree that it seems to blend well between the existing and the new. Fine.
Yeah, I think overall, I could support it. It would be helpful to see existing and proposed elevations on the same sheet as well as a materials board to just understand the standing seam roof that will be added that's not there right now.
Sure, no problem.
Josh?
I concur with everything stated so far. I don't have anything to add.
Okay, thank you.
Nothing to add. Maybe I did see the Esch area that you mentioned on one of the plans. I think it was in the planner memo maybe, but that might be good to just include on the site plan next time. And maybe some information about kind of existing trees. I don't think it really warrants it looks like a pretty sparse landscape plan as it is currently, so I don't think it really warrants any more additional planting, but it's kind of fireproof up there, which is good.
Thank you.
Agree with the previous comments. So this is agendized for conceptual. So I think do we want it to come back just to prelim to have the materials, or do we feel like it can come back prelim final? Prelim final on consent? Okay. All right, so we can agendize. Yeah.
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you. All right, do we have confirmation from item 4? Okay, all right. Do we need to make a motion to continue it? Okay, can we make a motion to continue item 4?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, we are moving on to item 7. The request of Caitlin Ernest, agent for the owner, Excelsior Development LLC alterations for conceptual review of an addition of approximately 160 square feet. The project also includes replacement of exterior doors and windows, new siding, re-roof, and landscaping changes. There's an existing 3,750 square foot 2-story residence, 575 square foot covered garage, and a 200 square foot guest room on the property. The project proposes no cut or fill, and it's a 1.22 acre site located at 4161 Crescente Drive in Eastern Goleta Valley. You can go ahead and state your names and give us your.
Good morning, Madam Chair and board members. My name is Caitlin Ernest with Sets Land Use Consulting.
Good morning, board members. My name is Carlos Sandoval with Custom Home Design Group.
Chris Gilliland with Common Ground, landscape architect.
And I'll just give a quick intro about the property and the project. The property is located in Hope Ranch on a coastal bluff top. It is located in the Coastal Commission appeals jurisdiction. So we are applying for a coastal development permit that will be approved by the zoning administrator. We received our first round of feedback from county planning and are currently working on a resubmittal. The project has also received prelim, conceptual and prelim approval from Hope Ranch ABR. So we're here today at SBAR to request conceptual review and then could return after zoning administrator approval for prelim and final approval. And just a quick overview of the existing property. There's an existing two-story, single-family residence, and there's a garage and a guest bedroom that's attached by an open breezeway. The project is proposing to enclose that breezeway and a small addition to the guest bedroom. There's some new landscaping proposed, and some improvements on the bluff side of the property include improving the existing patio. And then within that bluff top setback, there is an existing turf lawn that will be removed and some other landscaping improvements there. So I will turn it over to Carlos, our architect, to review the plans.
Thank you. Okay, so as discussed, this project, I think it's important to note that there is not going to be any major structural changes to the project, specifically to the facade. I think it's what we're looking at here for this project is mainly a facade lift, essentially, to kind of revive the property and get it out of that era from the 1980s. If you go to the next slide, I think well, you can see the existing pictures here of the existing property. I think it's important to note that they have these soffits that kind of go all the way around. We're going to get rid of those soffits, make it flush to the existing wall that's there, replace some materials in the exterior. To the south of the property, facing the bluff and the ocean, we're going to be proposing new sliding walls to maximize the views, as well as all new windows, replacing the windows. The windows are going to be wood with aluminum clad or some sort of metal clad. We are still kind of discussing that with the team. If you go to the next portion of it, that we can come back to the landscape. If you go to the demo plan here, you can see the interior modifications that we're doing, mainly interior walls, rearranging some of the site. Rearranging some of the layout in the interior in the first and second floor. If you go to the floor plans themselves, as you can see here, new layout for the first one. It's going to include a primary bedroom and one bedroom in the bottom here with an open concept kind of living room, kitchen area. Keep going down maybe to the second floor, expanding the balcony that's there currently now. We're expanding it to the east and wrapping it around the building. They're the main the residence. If you go down to the elevations, this is where it gets probably a little bit more interesting. So for the elevations, we are proposing some natural stone with some metal cladding, soft plaster, and for the roof, we're doing standing metal seam. I think that's it for that. Yeah. So that's for the architectural changes. Again, mainly facade improvements, structural changes. I think there's one thing to note. I think do we have a roof plan? Yeah, if you go back to the second floor plan, this guy. So the roof on above the living room there to the if you can zoom in down below there, that roof currently has the same pitch on both sides of the ridge. We're proposing to make the pitch shallower on the south side to incorporate some clear story windows on the south facing facade. And I think that's the noteworthy structural change that we would be doing there, the only one. Hand it over to Chris now to discuss them.
Thank you, Carlos. Can you hear me? Yeah. If we can go to the landscape plan, which, yeah, this is the old landscape plan.
Jonathan, is the other plan set I sent you in the folder?
There's 2 sets in there.
Yeah, 227.
Okay. So yeah, the original plan was kind of more of a Santa Barbara boulders and flagstone, but given the style of the house, we wanted to go a little more contemporary. So it was a redesign. And so as far as the landscape goes, there is, as far public view, there's not much change at all. There's a large existing podocarpus hedge out of the street. The existing columns will remain. New gates will be added, which there's a little elevation of, removing the stone cap on the top and just new metal see-through gate per Hope Ranch. And configuration of the driveway is largely the same. We're expanding it slightly about where that car is, so it's just more maneuverable and easier. And that will be the current conversation is stone driveway, but a new entry walkway from sort of that parking zone with a fountain element, and that sort of steps down. And then you can see the sort of large concrete pavers shifting back and forth, leading you to the front door, which is close to where that second fountain element is, sort of in the middle of the page. And we didn't really discuss the breezeway, but that's currently open, and it's still sort of up in the air as to whether that gets closed off between the garage and the house. But there is walkway leading to that as well. And the majority of, the magic is in the backyard with, currently it's just sort of a mishmash of gravel and weird concrete. So trying to unify that, create an outdoor kitchen, using and shade is going to be a big thing without blocking views. So we're employing some of those sort of large scale Tucci umbrellas, outdoor dining, outdoor kitchen, outdoor living space, and a little fire pit. And then sort of down on the page is a infinity, actually zero edge spa with a sort of waterfall. You can see that blue location. Maybe we can zoom in a little bit on the backyard. Good. Okay. And then where the bocce court sits, you can kind of see from the topos, there's an existing retaining wall there now, which is a railroad tie. So the idea is to do as little grading as possible back there and just sort of create a more usable space. So a new set of stairs down from that Core 10 fountain, dropping down into where that existing artificial turf is, reducing the amount of lawn and adding the bocce court. And I think that's just about the extent of it.
Great.
Happy to answer any questions.
Okay. On to questions from the board.
What kind of stone were you going to use?
There's a material board at the end there. Yep. So we're proposing white stone, natural stone veneer.
So the elevation page, yeah. Yeah, the question is that window, the stairway window, is it existing or is it new? Is it,
No, that's new.
it's a new thing, okay.
The current window, the existing window is up high above. There's a current window there that's a little bit higher, but we're proposing to bring it down to accentuate that facade a little bit more.
Do you have existing elevations? Because that would be really helpful
We do, and we will have that in the next.
to be able to actually, okay.
I don't have them with us now. Yeah. But we could have that. No, I don't have them now. Yeah. Right. Right.
To the right? So we're looking at a big gable end.
Yeah. Right.
One other question back to the stone. Is it the same stone? Only ask because it looks like it's depicted differently, in different elevations. If you scroll down a little, one looks more of like a block versus the other pattern. So
Yeah,
it's supposed to be one.
There's supposed to be two types of stone, correct? There's one that looks a little bit more, more modern than the other, but we don't have it in the legend. You're correct, though. Yes. That is correct, yes.
On the landscape, it says new lawn in quotation marks. Is that, and then the legend, it says existing artificial turf. Is it an artificial turf lawn?
That is yet to be determined, but
Oh, okay.
likely it would be artificial, yeah, due to the bluff top setting. We don't want to put too much water on that.
All right, any other questions from the board?
Yeah, can we go back up to that same elevation, that one? Yeah, what's the railing detail? And is that different, new
The railing detail is
on the second floor?
on the second floor. It's going to be new. It's going to be new railing, and we're thinking that it's probably going to be not base mounted, actually floor mounted. It's going to be a steel railing. We don't know yet because we're here for conceptual, but we will get to that point.
Okay,
Yeah.
but it's not glass.
No, it's not going to be glass. No.
It's just not figured out yet.
Yeah, not figured out yet.
Are we pretty well screened on the, I guess it would be in east-west property lines? There's existing plant material there, I take it?
Yeah, I meant to mention that. It's very mature hedging on both sides. Aside from right when you come in the front gate, just to the left, there's a little bit of an opening looking into that neighbor to the east, but we've added another tree there for additional screening. Otherwise, yeah, down both sides is really quite private.
Okay. Other questions? On the record, I need to say that Josh Bloomer is recused from this item. He wanted me to clarify. And we'll move on to public comment. Is there anyone in the audience or online?
We have received no letters for this project. We do have one person in the attendees column. I would like to see if they would like to make comment on this item. Please raise your hand. Seeing none.
Okay. All right, we'll close public comment and move on to comments from the board. I'll start with Amy.
I think overall, just looking at the existing photos, I can definitely appreciate the improvements to the architecture and the site. I think that the material palette looks acceptable. I'm intrigued by the metal siding, but I think what would really help further evaluate is seeing the existing elevations sort of on the, in the same sheet as the proposed, just to truly understand new windows versus existing. I think, getting rid of the large soffit below the roof line, I think that will improve the elevations, but just because there is a mix of materials and just understanding new openings, seeing those together would be helpful.
Can you go to the page, elevation page, Jonathan, please? I think it's a fine, it seems like an interesting project, pretty well done. A few things that jump to mind is one is the window on top of the stairway. Maybe it's just too close to the roof. Maybe a square window would be more in keeping with everything else. And the bare big gable that Ms. Froscher mentioned, they seem to kind of they're not they could be improved. Let's just put it that way. It just seems like they either need something or it's not there yet. In terms of I like the materials. The smaller pattern on the stone works better than the large. I think the large sizes, I think they make it look more traditional. I think you're going to go in a different direction. The ledger type, more. I think that would be better for this. Those are my comments.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of these comments about having the existing elevations to be able to really understand, because it's challenging trying to bring it out of that previous style. And I appreciate what you're trying to do here. I agree with the comment about the stone also, that the one style is better than both. And with the window in the stairway as well. It feels just oversized against the roof. And are the existing elevations, are there no eaves?
on the gable ends?
The eaves are, if you go back to the pictures, the eaves are part of that soffit. They kind of dive into the soffit and kind of, return back to the actual wall.
Right.
So we're trying to get rid of that and have a zero eave detail there
Okay.
to make it look a little bit more modern.
Yeah. Okay. That's good.
Yeah, I think this is a pretty straightforward update to the building. I think you're dealing with a lot of interesting angles and things like that of the existing building, which is challenging. But I think it's a nice update to the architecture, and same with the landscape. I think it's really well conceived, probably being further developed. I think it would be nice to bring a little bit of that stone character that you guys have on the architecture out into the landscape potentially. And I do kind of agree with minimizing those materials, even if it's just the pattern. I think simplifying the pattern of the stone to one would be preferred. But overall, I think it's a nice update to the architecture.
I agree, and I should have asked in the questions portion, but Chris, how tall are the retaining walls along the driveway that are being replaced with plaster walls? Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. Okay. That's good. Then I don't have a comment about that. Okay, this item is here for conceptual. Do you feel like it could come back prelim final after the ZA? Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to item 8, the Birch Edition. The applicants are here. The request of Becker Henson next to Architects for the for the owner Kathy and Chris Birch. Here for preliminary and final review of addition remodel of a single family residence, enlarged driveway per fire requirements, and a new pergola of approximately 2,837 square feet. There's an existing single family residence, 2 sheds, a barn, and a tack room on the property. Project will require 300 cubic yards of cut and 400 fill. It's a 1.6 acre parcel located at 1149 San Antonio Creek Road. And there were just a few prior comments, so I'll just go ahead and read them. Great project and well presented. Return with additional details of the pergola. Board appreciates the mix of horizontal and vertical elements and decrease paving at the front and soften with landscaping. I'm just going to see, there's no planner memo for this, right? Okay, then you can go ahead and state your names and give us your presentation.
I'm Tom Henson, Becker Henson Nixto Architects. This is
Stacy Isaac, landscape architect.
just a little background. The project was approved previously in 2023 for the maybe northerly 3/4 of the project. And the owners decided they wanted to go ahead and build what was going to be phase 2 now. And that's the garage and a primary bathroom at the southern end of the property. So this, the scope of work is mainly that, the addition at the southern end of the property and a few adjustments to the landscape and site features that Stacy can talk about. So maybe next sheet, please. Oh, the minutes said the square footage of a pergola was something like 2,800 square feet. It's more like it's a
280 or
It's
okay.
okay.
less. It's
like
like
a
it's 14 by
decimal
20.
point.
Yeah.
It's in the wrong
You didn't
place.
see that big of a pergola on the plan.
Big pergola. Yeah.
Okay, well, it goes the right direction for a minute, so.
Yes.
So this is the existing house, just sort of a humble mid-century T111 plywood, very low windows, you don't really see the view. You can go to the next sheet, please. This is the proposed. We're adding more windows. We're adding a loggia facing the backyard on the right. And then can you scroll down a bit? So what you see at the bottom kink, that's the same angle as the upper kink in the plan, is what's being added this time. It's a garage at the very south end and the primary bathroom just sort of the upper left of that. And we're following the same details colors, finishes, like taupey, warm gray, very natural, earthy feel. We want the house to fade into the landscape. Oh yeah, next, please. So there's the roof plan showing on the left what it looks like now, and on the right what we're proposing. The gable on the upper left of the proposed was approved before. That's the new loggia that looks out of the backyard. And the leg at the south end is what's included in this round. Next, please. So at the top is the existing front of the house. Below is the proposed. You can see the garage addition on the left. We're changing the T111 plywood to vertical, like hardy board, mainly with horizontal hardy board below the windows. I think maybe next, please. That's the back of the house. The upper image is what it looks like now, and the lower image is what's proposed. We're proposing standing seam metal roof, taupey color, low reflectivity. Next, please. These are building sections. It's, mid-century. There's no interstitial space, or very little. Like what you see is what you get. The existing ceiling is T&G wood, and that's what's proposed. Next, please. These are details, typical, mid-century clad wood doors and windows. Next, please. These are just more details. That's the proposed exterior light fixture just at the front door. Most of them will be small soffit lights, flush. There's the electrical plan. And then Stacy can.
Sorry. This is the fire access plan. We are a flag lot, so we are expanding our easement and keeping the road width, I believe, at 12 feet, but giving the 16-foot clearance. And we have the required fire truck turnabout. The one comment we had previously on the board is that the driveway felt too large. We did add more planting to it, but we still have a small section that we have to keep cut out for the fire truck. Next sheet. Demo, next sheet. Keep going. Okay, this is the overall site plan of the house, coming out and terracing down to the pool with the cabana at the end of the pool. It's actually just a pergola now. It was a cabana previously. It was more enclosed. To reduce costs, we're going with a regular pergola, and then a set of lumber tie steps down to the lawn. I did take the lawn and have it parallel now with the pool. In the previous rendition, yes, it worked a little bit better with the topography, but I was able to, with not much manipulation, get it so it's just more aligned architecturally. On the site, fruit trees, we have oaks that we're adding to it. We have lots of peppers, and then we have the creek down below. Keep going. You can see more of the layout there, and details are the next two sheets. There. Little retaining walls, step details. Keep going, outdoor fireplace, barbecue, keep going. Fencing, horizontal to match the house. Keep going, cabanas next, not cabana, pergola. All wood and steel with a steel I-beam wrapping around the top, trying to borrow from the mid-century. Keeping it very light though, and still keeping a window in the back because we have a great view of the mountains. There's the inspiration photo. And you can keep going. Irrigation. We are predominantly using a seed mixture, a native seed mix for the meadows, the same one that you see if you go out to Santa Ynez at the new Chumash History Museum. It's a great mix, does well. Keep going. Irrigation, calculations, keep going. planting plans, all very low water use, Mediterranean, lots of natives mixed in. There you are. And a lot of orchard too. We did mix in a lot of fruit trees. Okay. And lighting, you can go down to the lighting too, because they probably want to review that. We do have a special note. I am using wall wash fixtures, but only horizontally and very selectively, like on the address monument as you come in. Mainly all path lights though, and step lights. That's it.
On to questions from the board.
I have two questions. Are there site photos? I
There
don't
wasn't
see
a-
any in this package.
A color board in there?
And I also was going to ask about materials board.
Yeah, there should be a materials board in there.
The site photos we had at the last round, I don't know why we don't have them for preliminary and final. Probably because we're moving into more of a construction document package.
Any other questions? Okay, move on to public comment. Is there anyone in the audience or online who'd like to speak on this item?
If anybody would like to make a comment on this item, please raise your hand in the chat.
The owner is online, but she may
Is
or
that
may
Catherine
not.
Birch?
That's Catherine, yeah.
Okay.
Let's have her hand up.
Would you like to make a comment? Oh, there's the Lower Talk.
We should, that she's the applicant.
She's
Yeah.
just saying, hi, I'm here.
Hi, I am. I'm just saying thank you.
Okay, thank you.
We can send those other things if you need it, but yeah, thank you guys for your time.
Thank you. All right, we'll close public comment and we'll move on to comments from the board. We'll start with who's seen it before, Josh? Okay, Alex or Val?
Yeah, I really liked this project the first time around, and I really like it this time. And I think the pergola is great looking addition to it. And yeah, I don't have any critique at all. I think it's a nice adaptation to an existing house.
I agree. No comments. Good job.
This is my first time reviewing it, so for me, I'd just like to see the existing photos or, and at least the materials board to be able to, it looks like a nice project, but that would just at least help my review, so.
Do we not have a materials board included?
It was included with the submittal online. And it's the same one as it was approved in 2023.
Yeah,
You know, because they're here for
final.
finals.
Yeah.
Should have the
And-
materials board.
Yeah,
Jonathan, can you check with the planner,
yeah.
Let's see.
Alejandro?
Alejandro is not currently online right now.
Do you recall if it was a separate document or if it was a sheet that was in an updated set for the materials board?
The question from Morgan.
Yeah, Morgan did the submittal. She said it was just in, I just called her and asked her about it and she said, no, it was included with the submittal, but I don't know how.
She included it as part of this PDF or if it's a separate PDF, possibly.
File's taking a while to load. I'm trying to scroll.
It's a pretty innocuous, it's beiges and taupes and like
Nothing
have a-
alarming,
warm grays.
very warm.
Madam Chair?
And the colors are on the,
Verify that the materials are called out in the schedules and on the drawings. If the material board's not available, then you can just review what's there, but make sure it's there.
Like I know the standing seam metal.
1.0.
Chair, if it's a technicality, we can move for preliminary. They can submit to building, they get final on consent,
Right.
and then we move on. There's no delay.
Yeah, I was gonna make a motion for final today, but I can make a motion for preliminary if you'd like. My comments are that the same as the rest of the board and just wanted to compliment the applicant's exceptionally well documented project in the drawings, and it's very complete.
Yeah, I agree. I think these drawings are highly detailed landscape drawings, so I think that you can easily approve this, and it looks like you responded well to the pergola being detailed in all those, so not visible really to anybody.
I have it on my phone. They're here for, because you're here for a preliminary final, we were not able to accept late materials submitted.
Madam Chair, maybe I could weigh in on this. If there is, if the board would like to, they could condition the project. You could condition the project to have the planner confirm the materials and colors. If it's already mentioned on the plans, perhaps that would be one way to go about it.
I'll make a motion to approve the project as submitted today for final approval with the condition that the materials board be sent to the board chair or the vice chair for review prior to finalizing the appeal period or whatever.
I'll second that.
Aye.
Oh, shoot, my mic was off.
Joe, did you get that?
Yes, I did. I got that.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay. Moving on to item 9. Okay, looking at it here. Slippery Rock Ranch, LLC accessory structures modification. Request of Mark Lloyd, agent for the owner. Here for conceptual review of a modification to allow a 9.3 foot to 19.1 foot reduction of the 50-foot street centerline setback. The new 40.7 foot to 30.9 foot setback from the street center line will allow development of 4 agricultural accessory structures being processed under a separate land use permit. 3 of the structures are each 198 square feet as built animal barns, and the 4th structure is the relocation of a 440 square foot existing hay barn. No trees are proposed for removal. The property is 165.93 acre parcel, zoned Ag 2 100, and located at 1735 North La Patera Lane in the Eastern Valley Community Plan area. All right, please state your name. Just tap the, yep.
Honorable Chair, honorable board members, my name is Mark Lloyd, representing Slippery Rock Ranch on this project. As you noted, Madam Chair, we're processing a land use permit for a new agricultural barn. It's in this plan sheet here. It's shown at the very lower left-hand corner. The property, the parcel that project and the buildings I'm seeking modification for on about 170 acre parcel. The ranch itself is about 800 acres. About 250 acres of avocado production. We're the largest avocado producer in Santa Barbara County. And so the accessory barn is to support the agricultural operation. Through the course of the land use permit review, planning staff came up with the notion that our driveway that goes through the property, as you can see it going from the lower left to the upper right, constitutes a private road because it, in their view, serves more than 4 parcels. I provided a technical argument to that point and decided that, well, planning staff did not agree with that. So the path of least resistance was to seek a modification. This driveway extends further up into the ranch itself, terminates within the ranch. There are no private ownerships beyond this property all the way up to Lake Cachuma. It's all Forest Service land. And so anyway, no one else will be using this private road, but I'm still seeking a modification technically. So there are a number of ag structures that are animal barns and a veterinarian station and a hay barn. They were constructed without permits, so as part of this land use process, I am validating those. Do you have the photos available, side photos? Yeah, so here's what they look like. This is the hay barn. And can you continue through them? Here is our little goat barn. Continuing, here we have Scottish Longhorn cattle barn. Here we have our llama barn. Continue on. And here we have our pigs, which are two little pigs there on the behind the fence. You can hardly see them. Continue, please. Oh, that's it. Yeah. So those are the structures that are subject to the setback. So technically, we have a 50-foot setback from the center line of this driveway. And I believe that the closest barn I have is 39 feet, and I have one that's 30 or 49.9 feet. So I'm requesting that you grant the modification and make the necessary findings for that.
Okay. Thank you. Questions from the board? I just have, do you know if you need to go to the ZA first, or we can,
Pardon me?
if the board tries to expedite this for you, do you know if you need to go to the ZA before, it's for the modification before, or do you have any other approvals you need
No.
besides us?
No, technically, you are the approval
We are,
party for modifications of setbacks.
okay, didn't know if there was anything else you need to go through. Okay, any other questions?
Madam Chair, if I
Yes.
could just clarify, for the modification, the process would be that the BAR would grant preliminary approval before it goes to the zoning administrator.
That's what I
and
was
then the zoning
thinking.
administrator would take action on the modification, yeah.
Okay, so okay, and it's only agendized for conceptual today. Yeah, okay.
So just to clarify, because this road goes through you said 4 parcels, you have to, you're asking for the variance because you would need to abide by that 50-foot.
Yeah,
From the
the
center.
county zoning ordinance basically says that if you have a roadway that serves more than 4 parcels, that roadway is considered to be a private road if it isn't a public road. And so that is the technicality that these structures are getting hung up on.
Then, okay, understood. And then you were saying that this more or less, this doesn't connect to any other.
Doesn't connect physically to any other properties. And there are no private ownerships to the north of us till you hit the San Ynez Valley.
Yeah, but you have property lines there, or do you have property lines, or what are those lines?
Yeah, so you can see the yellow lines. One is going north, south, or bottom to top of the page. And then there is a lot line that goes
No,
east, west right there.
No, around the sheds, there seem to be some lines in there. I'm not sure what that means, what I'm looking at.
Well, there are, those are the setback lines. So that blue line that was, the cursor was on, that's the 50-foot setback line. And then as you go to the left of that, there's a 20-foot setback line. I'm sure you're all familiar with the code requirements are 20 or 50.
Are you asking if it's a different parcel on either side of the road?
Yeah, no, I mean, I see that. What is that blue line?
It's a esh.
Yeah, and then the farthest blue line with that is the center line of the driveway.
To the right, the ash line.
Yeah, and interestingly, in the Ag 2 zone district, there are no side or rear yard setbacks. They are 0. It's just the front.
Those lines are just fences. They're not property lines or anything, right?
No.
Okay.
No, there's no fencing along those lines. They're legal lot lines, but they are treated as internal lines.
I think you're talking about the perpendicular lines, and those are the fence lines between the cottage.
Yeah, I mean, the question is what happens 20 years from now when each of them become a property and they have a setback problem, or what's, that's what I'm thinking.
Your question is what happens when these separate lots are conveyed separately and developed separately?
Yeah.
They'll deal with the regulations that are in effect at that time for development that is proposed.
Those are not separate lots, Alex. the perpendicular lines to the blue lines are not separate lots right now. Those are just the fence lines. Yeah. I think, is that what you were asking? Okay, yeah.
They look like.
Yeah, it's just the shadow, I think, of the fence line.
Yeah, those dark lines that you see
Yeah, going the
running
other.
through the angle, those are fence lines between so you have the barns that we house the animals in, and then they have a paddocks area to hang out in, and then that more rectangular structure on the upper right, that's our veterinarian station. These animals are well kept.
So how is the county considering it a private road serving more than 4 parcels if there aren't 4 parcels?
Well, as you know, my style, I provided a very in-depth analysis to countermand the claims. I find the path of least resistance is to get the modification.
Are there 4 parcels owned by the same owner? Is that the
There are
confusion?
10 parcels owned by the same owner.
So there are,
Oh.
it is meeting it's the multiple parcels, but
But it's one owner.
it's just one owner.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, Kier?
Just, how long have these buildings been there? Or is it an enforcement case? Did someone complain about this?
It's not an enforcement case. It's never been reported as the land use permit was submitted and all of the structures.
Looked at.
This, I don't know if you can zoom out on this drawing. I believe it has a table of,
These are new.
yeah, it has a table that's underneath some of your, yeah, there's a whole table of structures there. Non-ag and ag, this has been through ag preserve. There's a, an analysis in these tables as to the inapplicability of a development plan requirement, et cetera, et cetera.
The only building you guys are proposing is the barn below.
Yes, that's the only new structure.
That one's complying currently with the
Yes.
setbacks. Did you guys look at feasibility of, I mean, they look like pretty lightweight structures, but did you guys already look at feasibility of moving the structures back 10 feet or 12 feet to comply?
Well, there's nothing that money can't solve.
Of course, but
Yes. We prefer not to move them. We don't believe that that any other third party would be impacted by these getting a modification. And the modification only pertains to the structure faces that face the front yard. They're not a blanket modification on future buildings. They only apply to the buildings we're applying for.
residence was going to go there, it wouldn't apply to them.
It would be, it is not, it doesn't grandfather in a modification on any future structure.
Okay.
Just these that are proposed.
My only question is, if only one's getting relocated, on the table, number 20 through 24 are labeled as proposed, not existing.
Buildings 20 through 24.
Yeah.
Yes, because technically, because they're unpermitted, they don't exist from a permit standpoint.
Okay.
And that's why they
That
are
was what I was-
the subject of
was
this
wrong
LUP
comparing. Yeah, okay.
to validate them from a land use permit standpoint.
Okay, but they are, okay.
But they do,
already
they
there.
do physically
They
exist.
already exist. Okay.
The photos you saw, those are the animals living in them. And I believe you had a question of when they were constructed, I believe in the last 3 or 4 years.
3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
Questions? Move on to public comment. Is there anyone online that would like to?
And if I just may add, if I wanted to go that route, they are agricultural buildings with no water, or electricity, and I'm under 3,000 square feet, and they would be exempt from all permits. So, but I'm just seeking the modification.
We have no requests to speak.
We have no excess of regulations in the county.
All right, we'll close public comment and move on to comments from the board. Does anyone want to start since it's pretty straightforward?
Howard to the alpaca. Yeah, and the Scottish Longhorns too. Yeah, well, I don't have any problem with a modification for this.
And no objections, no.
Concept.
We can do it on consent.
but he can't go all the way to final. So I think you have to,
Correct.
you have to come back for prelim, with our positive comments and then go to the ZA. So,
Appreciate your actions.
thank you. We can't make a motion for.
It's conceptual.
So-
Yeah, understood.
So, thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right. Do we have the applicant online for item 10 yet? Okay. All right, move on to item 10. The request of Britt Jewett, architect for the owner Kerner Jacqueline Property Family Trust. Here to consider conceptual review of an interior remodel and 354 square foot addition to a new front entry, over frame remodel portion of the roof over the existing single family residence. There is currently a residence with an attached two-car garage of approximately 3,486 square feet. Project requires no cut or fill. It's a 1 acre parcel located at 1395 Camino Milano in the Eastern Goleta Valley plan area. The applicant is online. They can go ahead and state their name, give us the presentation.
My name is Brett Jewett, architect for the owner. This is a really modest proposal. I was approached to help design and process a new entry to an existing residence by an important member of the Santa Barbara craftsman community. Is a Finnish carpenter and done a lot of work on sizable homes. He's a big devotee of the arts and crafts movement and wanted to add an entry to his own home in the character of the arts and crafts aesthetic. As part of the scope of work, they decided to add some new baths to bring the floor plan up to date. So basically, what we're looking at here is the street view of the house. You can see that there's a sort of a courtyard at the entrance that we're going to fill in. Those are the bathrooms there. It's overframed roof, and then there's some landscape elements in the front that will help to mitigate and soften some of the blank walls here. But we're looking at bringing this craftsman element forward, replacing some brick that's below with stone, updating the doors, garage doors and windows to have patterns that are consistent with the arts and crafts aesthetic. No changes to the sides really, other than where we're updating the stone and things. These are the building sections. As you can see, nothing changes there. And this is my first attempt at taking a look at what he would need to actually build and frame this new entry, where we're pulling a lot of influence out of stuff that happened in California in the early part of the 1900s. So that's it, really. It's simple. Addition to the front that is a very nicely designed, almost like a piece of furniture entrance.
Thank you. Move on to questions from the board.
I have one question. Are there any high fire things? I mean, that timber, are you in the high fire area, right?
Yeah, we have to double check that. This was started about 1.5 years ago. I know that there's some new conditions. So as part of moving forward, we're going to need to understand what that would mean in terms of what we've designed here.
Other questions? Okay, move on to public comment. There is no one online or in the audience.
Yes, nobody online, nobody in the audience, and no submitted letters.
We will close public comment, move on to comments from the board.
It looks good.
Alex.
Looks good.
No other comments. It looks like a nice project.
Yeah, it's a nice improvement to an existing kind of tired old building, so very compatible with the neighborhood. I would imagine design style's great and should move forward.
It looks good, and just wanted to comment on the site photo of the backyard. Looks like a nice party space, so maybe you can invite us over for a party sometime.
He's got an incredible view down this draw. Yeah, it's almost like a little teaspoon of ocean, or bigger than that, I guess. Yeah, it's really nice.
Do you think the new fire requirements are going to change your member sizes?
Yes. I don't think that the columns necessarily, but certainly our rafters and things, so. Yeah,
May
got-
have to use fire treated wood.
something like that. It's,
Yeah.
yeah. I just wanted, this is a very light proposal. I just wanted to get a general sense of, is this something that you would approve? Because, you know, the owner really doesn't need that much from me, just processing help and details for the porch. So that's what this is.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. We'll see you when you come back.
That is the last item on our agenda. All right,
Concludes our hearing.
we are adjourned. Thank you.
Wait, what's the decision?
Oh, return preliminary final on consent.
Conceptual, so there's no motion and you can return prelim final, but I would recommend getting your fire requirements sorted before you return.
Okay, with a color and material and
With color and material, yeah.
got it. Okay, thank